Sheriff, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir.
Would you call the meeting to order?
Yes, sir. August 17th, 2020, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners of Cheatham, this Zoom meeting is now in session.
Mr. Byron?
Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you so much, Lord, again for the wonderful opportunity that we have to gather together, to assemble, Lord, to get to see friends, to get to see people, Lord, who are leading our county, Father, to working together and being able to meet together, Lord. We just thank you so much, Lord, for your presence. We thank you, Lord, for the blessings that you pour out upon us every day, upon our county, upon our nation, Lord, even though we have so many trying times we're going through right now. But Lord, we know you're there with us, and we thank you so much for that. We just ask and pray that you just bless our leaders here, Lord, and bless the ones who are protecting, Lord, and fighting this virus for us, Lord, and even protecting our country, Lord, and Lord, protecting our streets and our families as well. Father, we just ask that you just bless us, Lord, and just be with those families, Lord, who are hurting, who are suffering, Lord, in our community, who have so many needs. We just lift them up to you now. Ask that you'd bless this meeting tonight, Lord, and help just give wisdom, Lord, to all of our leaders, Lord. And we just pray these things in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
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 Amen. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's just stand. We can do that. Let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of America,
and to the republic
to the republic,
which
stands
stands
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Clifton, would you call the roll, please?
David Anderson.
Here.
Gary Binkley.
Here.
Ann Giroux.
Here.
Tim Williamson.
Here.
Chris Gilmore.
Here.
Honey Mayo.
Here.
Donnie Jordan.
Here.
Walter Weekly.
Here.
Diana Lovell.
Here.
Eugene Evans.
Here.
Ed Greer.
Here.
Randy Lyles.
Here.
I have 12 present, 0 absent.
Declare we have enough to have a quorum. Do we have a motion on the approval of the agenda?
Motion.
Motion,
Second.
Mr. Evans, second by Mr. Anderson. Any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor of accepting the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Agenda has been accepted. We have a motion on the approval of the minutes.
Motion.
Motion, Ms. Lovell, second by Ms. Williamson. Any discussion on approval of the minutes? Any changes or alterations? Not hearing any. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Ayes have that. I don't see any elected officials in the meeting. So that's not a need. Sheriff's in, but he's got his space on it. I'm sorry, somebody's talking. I can't. Somebody trying to get my attention and I'm not seeing them. Okay. Any unfinished business? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Chairman Jordan. You should have in your packet several items, consideration on a possible consent calendar and agenda tonight. First item is vote for mayor's signature on contract for jail's tankless water heater maintenance through the Lee Company. Second item is vote for mayor's signature on laundry dispensing equipment agreement. This also is in connection with the sheriff's office and the jail. Third item is vote on mayor's signature for maintenance renewal on Data Works Plus, also connected with the sheriff's office. Also, the vote for the mayor's signature on contract with Wright Construction Company for renovations at the Tucker Henson building. So I do have those 4 items to put before you tonight. They have been reviewed and approved by our attorney, Michael Bly, I see him over there. He's with us tonight. So that's the first request. Try to get those through the commission tonight, those 4 items.
Oh, y'all sending me text during the middle of the meeting has got good. We have a motion, we have a request by the mayor. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion to accept all of them, Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir.
We have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Anderson. Any discussion on any of the items? Any questions? Tim?
No.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williams?
What is the total on the renovation for Tucker Emerson?
The total in this contract would be, the low bid that we approved last month. This is actually the contract coming through. I think it was $898. I think it was $898. I don't have that in front of me, but I think it was $898,000.
But then there was some other costs, were there not, Mayor?
There were, but this is just the contract for the construction company to go in and do the renovation on the building.
Tim, are you asking for the total cost, including everything?
Oh,
Sorry?
that's okay. Yeah, I remember last month it was just a little over $1 million.
Okay.
Yeah, there were the other items, such as the
Yes.
and the stuff we could do on our own without taking through the contract. This is for the upfront renovation from Wright Construction Company out of Nashville. And it's a contract, but it still goes hand in hand with that low bid of $898 on the renovation along the project, main building.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lyles?
did you have a chance to talk to the school board about that land behind the Tucker Emerson building?
We are working on that. We met, I guess it was last Friday or maybe a week ago Friday now, the way the time's zooming by. We are talking back and forth with the school board on that property and also have it being appraised and those type things right now to try to get a value on it. That was a request from the school board. So we're working toward that. Should have some numbers on that put together the next couple of weeks. It's my understanding, Dr. Beck's with us, my understanding they are working toward trying to get a cost on building either a metal or something comparable to that building on their own property. So they're looking for numbers too to try to come together with some agreement. We should be working on that in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, sir.
You bet.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions on that, on the project? Ms. Gupton, call the roll, please.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Ann Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Diana Lovell.
Yes.
Is there anyone who wishes to change their vote? Ms.
I have
Gupton?
12 yes, 0 no, no absence, no abstentions.
Motion has passed. Mr. Mayor, we're still with you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner, for that vote. The next item I want to bring to the Commission's attention and consideration is that, and it's kind of like several dominoes that are moving around on the board. So I'll try to take you through this as simply as I can. Down here at the courthouse, and of course, we're looking at the annex building with the addition or the renovation of the Tucker Emerson building, get the sheriff out. We also will be able to get CID out of the annex building across the street. Juvenile court is still downstairs. So we need to try to look for a place to relocate the juvenile court so we can level the annex building. It looks like as the jail would be building out into that direction. And so the place that we could bring them would be into where accounting is now here at the courthouse. And my proposal is to move accounting out to Sycamore Square where the Veterans Office currently is located, and then move the veterans to the front of the strip center in a 1,200 square foot space that we have available. I've met with the VSO committee out when we looked at several options out there. So the request would be to allow the VSO to relocate to the 1,200 square feet that's on the front row out at Sycamore Square. It's down closer to the gym and the food line end of the center. Then we would relocate the accounting office to where VSO is now. And then we would relocate the juvenile office, which is over in the annex building, over to where accounting is now. So hope you can follow that bouncing ball, but it's one build out will take care of 3 issues. So that's kind of where we're at, the build out of the 1,200 square feet for the VSO at Sycamore Square. If that's, want to run that through commission and get your permission to move forward with that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Binkley's made a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Lovell. Discussion on it? Yes, sir,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman, just let the commission know that that came through capital improvements, and we approved that coming through our committee. So we've looked at it and thought it was a good idea.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Weekly.
Whose budget is the build out going to come out of?
Mr. Mayor?
Well, once we get the plans back, we know how much money we're looking for. I mean, there's several options we can go with as far as funding. One was we did close on the property with the town of Ashland City. There's about $78,000 that came from that sale a few weeks ago. So we were most likely we'll be asking to use that. And if it's over that within reason, and it should be within 1,200 square feet of build out, anything over that, we should be able to either get the Sycamore Square Reserve to pay any over on that. And another item, I'm glad you brought up capital improvements, Chairman Binkley, with capital improvements, because the other part of this also, as we put this out, would be to get an alternate bid on a bathroom in the front of Sycamore Square. And I spoke with the elected officials there. What they are requesting would be a half bath, basically, that would be a family bath, unisex family bath up in the front of the Sycamore main office area, and then have the back reserved for employees only. That's what they're asking. But we were waiting till we had something else going on at Sycamore Square, so standalone project. If we could get that added, and we'll do it as an alternate, so we'd have a bid back on it standalone. In case it's suddenly cost prohibitive or something, we could pull it out. But I would like to go ahead and move forward with the plan out on that as well.
I was just wanting to be sure that we weren't going to use the Veterans Reserve on the build out.
Not intended to, Mr. Weekly.
That's
Just for those of you that are informational purposes only, the VSO scenario is not an issue of where they are. It's more that for the veterans to move that distance, a lot of them are in wheelchairs and a lot of them are on those little 3-wheel scooter deals. And we felt it was much easier and much more convenient for them to be able to come through the front of a door and be there versus have to manage their way down through that corridor and back to that office that was down there. So if people were going to be moving around, we felt like we'd get better service for the veterans by putting them on the front where people could park and really get right into the front door.
I'd like to add something that the veterans, when we build it out, that they have an automatic door that people can push, because that helps with people and it's confined to a wheelchair or a scooter.
Got you. Anybody else? We got a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Ann Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Diana Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Anybody wish to change your vote? Ms. Gupton?
Have 12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
Declare the motion has passed. Mr. Mayor, anything else?
Chairman Jordan, did we amend that motion to include the bathroom estimate and plan to build out on that bathroom?
We did not amend that motion. Do we have another motion to do that?
Motion to approve.
Motion, Ms. Lovell, to approve the bathroom section. Second, Mr. Williamson. We already had one discussion on the bathroom. Mr. Lyles?
We're talking about coming to the front of Sycamore Square? Or are we talking about that closet to the left where the security sits right there? We have discussed several different things. We're going to have to get an engineer. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the reason I need approval to go ahead and do the plan so we can bid that out, but we'll do it as an alternate. And capital improvements, of course, we don't have a price back on it yet, but capital improvements is showing intent to cover the cost on that if we can do it.
Okay, thank you.
I think Mr. Lyles' question, are we looking at going in that closet or somewhere else?
Just as you enter the front entrance where security is, it is to the left.
Okay, yeah.
That that room will fit from where we're looking at it right now. That room would fit with a handicap access, but once again, it would be a unisex family type half bath right there for the public.
That's it. That's what I was thinking. Thanks, sir.
Yeah,
We got a motion from Ms. Lovell. We got a second by who, Ms. Gupton? Mr. Williams.
Williamson,
Any more discussions on it? This is an item we talked about last month as well. Call the roll, please.
Diana Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Ann Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Donnie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly.
Mr. Wiggins.
Walter Weekly.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Ms. Gupton,
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
motion has passed. Anything else for the mayor?
Mr. Chairman, I have one thing, and
Yes, sir.
out at Sycamore Square, we've had some individuals out there with food trailers and food trucks.
Mr. Binkley, may I interrupt you a minute? May I
What's
interrupt you? May I interrupt you? Just a minute?
Yeah.
I spoke with the county attorney a little bit this afternoon. We're going to look at that some more, if you don't mind, before we get it onto the floor, and we're going to ask to meet with the mayor.
Okay.
If that's okay
Yeah.
with you.
Well, yeah, and I just want to make sure everybody knows it is an issue out there for some of those businesses. I've got several phone calls about that. So, but anyway, yeah, I appreciate a little feedback on that so I can get back with some of my constituents on that.
Sure will. Anybody else? Mayor?
Chairman Jordan, just one piece of information for the commission. 2 weeks from tonight at 6 o'clock in the courtroom upstairs, we'll have a swearing in ceremony for those who were elected earlier this month, 3 school board positions, assessor of property and the road superintendent, and Judge Max will be swearing them in at 6 o'clock 2 weeks from tonight. So I want to make sure y'all are aware of that. That's all I have. Nobody else has any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Beck?
Mr. Mayor,
Wait just a minute. Dr. Beck?
Yes.
One of your school board members was trying to get in earlier. I thought I brought him into the meeting.
John Patrick?
Yes, is he still trying to want to get in?
I don't know. Let me text him and see. I sent him the link because I know he wanted to. Let me
Okay.
Let me
If he
send him-
does,
let me
if he
text him.
does, if he does, just raise your hand at me and I will try to find him again.
Okay.
Somebody spoke before I did at that time. Go, who was it? Williamson.
Donnie, I can see John Patrick in there.
Is he in there?
His name on the black squares. You're gonna have to go, there's too many
Okay.
people on, you have to go to the second page.
I got him. I see him.
I got a question for the mayor. I see they're painting a water tower down there. Are they still gonna put your picture on it?
I hope not. That would be scary water scene for sure. But no, they have finally got the paint crew there, so they're moving on with it now. They've got it painted and hopefully be able to finish up the rest for the fencing and security down below. Spoke with city
Oh,
folks
I got
you know,
something.
something else, but they're well on their way to getting it back on track. Hopefully completed out here in the next few weeks.
One of 2 screens. Anybody else? Mr. Batts, where do you?
Okay, item 1, budget amendments, county general, jail, $6,999, jail, $10,437, South Cheatham Library, $25, Sheriff's Department, $5,000, emergency medical services, $12,328.57. Budget vote 5 yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Funding source various.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Anderson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Greer. Discussion on any of the items?
Well, I had a question, Mr. Jordan,
Yes,
about
sir.
the trailer. Is that for the litter crew to pick up trash so they can take it out to the landfill and just raise the? Is that what that was all about?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
that is
Didn't we
correct.
already, the litter trailer, it's got a fence around it, and what's gonna happen to that?
Sheriff?
We're still gonna keep both of them and use both of them. We got more trash being dumped in the county, Gary, than, I don't know if it's because everybody's shut in or what, but anyway, yeah, we're gonna keep both trailers and use both trailers. So we have two teams out at any given time.
Okay.
Yeah, but the dump trailer will be at an advantage because we can dump it quick and get out of there and get back on the road. And that's one. But also with that grant, it has to be used specifically for trash related funding.
Okay. Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else?
Miss Betty says she wants to use it.
Yeah,
Oh.
out Maplewood.
We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Dan Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Diane Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Ms. Gupton?
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
Declare that motion has passed. We're still with you, Ms. Batts.
Okay, item 2, budget amendments, highway. Other charges, $662.20. Budget vote, 5 yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Funding source, reimbursement from general purpose school funds.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Greer. Who made the motion? I'm sorry, I wasn't looking.
Me.
Lovell,
Thank you. Ms. Lovell made the motion. Discussion? Call the roll.
Diane Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Dan Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly.
Come on in.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a rough day, buddy.
Does anyone wish to change their vote? Ms. Gupton?
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
That motion has now passed. We're still with you, Ms. Batts.
Okay, item 3, budget amendments, general capital projects. Highway and streets capital projects, $302,542.33. Highway and streets, $138,188.89. Public safety projects, $1,020,260. Budget vote, 5 yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Funding source, various.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Anderson. Do we have a second? By Ms. Lovell. Discussion?
Is, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
is, the highway superintendent, is he okay with that?
Hold on just a second. Mr. Robert?
I want to speak to that.
I hear you. Robert,
Yes,
are you here? You are hearing everybody?
yes, but run that by me again, what the highway's doing?
Ms. Batts?
Which one is the question?
You read those two amendments again.
Okay, the first one is $302,542.33. That is the remaining unused funds that were at year end June 30th that were unspent of the $400,000 that was borrowed. And so there is still $302,542.33 of that available to continue on with the project. The second item is $138,188.89. That amendment will only be needed if Mr. Hester does not agree to make the next debt payment that's due on September 1st. And those funds will come from the $302,542.33 that's remaining available for the project. Does that make sense?
Mr. Hester?
Yes, yes. So again, this is, now what are you gonna do with the money? All I'm saying is I'm gonna go ahead with it if the building's gonna go forward. If the building's not gonna go forward, then I'm not. So I'm not understanding the full question. I wasn't aware that this was coming up tonight.
Ms. Bass, can you explain it again or try? The 302 was what?
542.33 is what's remaining of the original 400,000 that was borrowed. And so far, you know, any payments that have been made thus far on the project have come out of that $400,000, such as the architect fees where he's drawn up the plans and those types of things. The second amendment, so June 1st, Mr. Hester did not want to make the June payment on June 1st. So we had to move money from the original loan amount to make that payment. So this one it will only be, the 138 will only be amended if that happens again on September 1st.
Mr. Binkley.
And why wasn't I notified of this was coming up tonight?
Mr. Mayor? Do the elected officials get a packet for the meeting? Do the elected officials get a packet, Ms. Gupton?
Yes.
I don't.
Yes, we don't. They don't unless they request it. We just issue the packets to the commissioners, mayor, the budget department, and the economic and development department, and building commissioner and the county attorney. If an elected official requests a packet, we'd be more than happy to give them one.
Yeah, I'll address that in just a moment then. Mr. Hester, I'll get right back to you. Mr. Binkley?
Well, I wanted to make sure that he was aware of it and that he was on board with it. I mean, isn't that his money?
Chairman
I mean, where we borrow the $400,000 at? Is that?
Chairman Jordan, I'll be glad to address this.
I will more than happy let you.
Thank you for that. Chairman Binkley and the rest of the commission, again, back in June, the interest note was due, which was, if you look on the list, the 4855 was interest. We reached out to Mr. Hester. Now let me go back. The original 400,000 was borrowed, put into Mr. Hester's budget to pay that 400,000 back, because you may recall he didn't want it out of his fund balance. So when this came due with the community bank, which is now, it's not Pinnacle anymore, it's Reliant Bank, the note is due either in interest, and then the principal payment will be coming up September 1st on a 3-year note, I believe it was set up. When those $400,000, when that was borrowed, it was put over into a project line, which is not in the line with the highway department. It's in our budgets. Okay, so that's the reason Mr. Hester didn't have to be notified. We did notify him at the 1st of June, the interest payment was due, and his response, Mr. Hester, you're here, you can either back this up or not. Your response was, I'm not paying anything until we see results. And I made it very clear.
You're exactly right, Mr. Mayor. I did say that. I'm backing you 100%, sir.
And so at that time, I had to make the decision, rather than let that loan go into default, we took some of the proceeds and we took it back through budget committee to use some of the proceeds of that $400,000 to keep that note current by paying that $48.55 interest payment. So we are set up this time around that, and Mr. Hester's already said, if the building doesn't go through tonight, he's not going to pay any of this. So that we're in a position to make sure that that note stays current, and also in a position, if this thing falls through, to take the rest of that money and put back on the loan to pay off that loan as quick as we can. There's no reason in paying interest on a loan that we're not going to use. So I hope that clears it up. So it's a little few moving parts, but that's the reason it wasn't to leave Mr. Hester out of the run. This is in a project line that, again, we were just backing up so that we've got the county covered if we have to pay that note. That's all it is.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That answered my question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Hester, would you like to speak on it again?
Well, like I said, as long as it's not, I don't understand exactly what's going on. I would appreciate it if knowing this ahead of time so I could have put some thought into it. But like, you know, we've kicked the can down the road on this building for so long, it's just ridiculous. And I'm not going to pay for something I'm not getting. And I don't know, are we going to discuss that tonight or what?
Yes, sir. Coming out of Road and Bridge.
Well, like I said, I'm just not going to pay something back that I'm not getting. I'm not going to keep paying payments on something that I'm not getting. So I don't know what we're going to do.
Sandra?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I believe that we are at the vote section. There's been a motion and a second, and we have not voted on these yet.
No, I understand where we are. I'm just trying to see if there's any. This is the first money that Mr. Hester agreed to pay.
That we borrowed in September of 2019. Yes, sir.
And we borrowed it instead of him giving the money to the county. Is that correct?
Correct. To be paid over 3 years was the agreement.
So he chose to go over a 3-year period with the money on the original thing.
Correct.
On the original project.
Yes, sir.
That's what this money is. It's not any additional that, it's just the original money.
Yes, sir.
So we borrowed it instead of taking it out of fund balance?
Instead of him taking it out of his fund balance. He didn't, Mr. Hester, don't let me put words in your mouth. It's my understanding that he didn't want to take all 400,000 out. So the county borrowed the 400,000 and he was going to repay the note over a 3-year period.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why did we borrow it from ourselves until we knew what was going to happen? So we're not paying that interest.
What's the interest amount, Ms. Betts?
It's 48.
For this quarter, it's $4,855.56.
That's every 3 months.
I can't answer your question.
Correct.
That's $20,000 in interest we're paying. And we've got a fund balance that we could have took it out ourselves, couldn't we?
Yes, sir. We all have fund balance like that. Us and the highway department.
Okay.
Well, and I was under the impression the lady in my office was telling me at the time that me and her and Miss Batts and the mayor was going to sit down and have a discussion on this. Okay. Meanwhile, I have a heart attack and have open heart surgery. Next thing I know, boom, the money's been borrowed. So, like I said, I don't know, man. I'm just not going to pay for something we're not getting. If we're going to go forward, then we'll try to make it right. But if we're not, then I don't want any of this money coming out of I don't know where we're moving this from. Miss Bat, where are we moving the money from?
From the money that was borrowed.
Okay. Well, that's county money. I mean, that's not my money.
It's all the people's money to begin with.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Lyles, but like I said, I'm just not going to pay for something I'm not getting. It's not right. And I'm not going to keep paying interest on it. All we're doing is kicking the can down the road. It don't make sense.
Well, I understand. Did you not agree to pay money up front, tell everybody you would pay something up front? I mean, are we getting in the middle of an issue at, well, I don't know really where to go with this. It's getting really confusing.
Yes, I agree.
From the beginning to where we are now, it's backtracked or something. So
this money that we borrowed is sitting in a pot, correct?
Correct.
I'll clear up something. If the project does not go forward, let's just say the project stops. This money that we borrowed is going to turn around and be put back against its note. So the borrowed money that we've got is going to turn back around and pay back the note. Correct, Ms. Batts?
Correct. If we don't move forward with the project, it's borrowed so that we can continue with the project. And we've used some of it for architect fees and things like that. But yes, you are correct. We would, if the project doesn't move forward, we'll turn around, take that money, pay it all back, and then we'll still owe the difference of what's been spent of that 400,000 so far.
And I've also got a $5,000 interest payment in this thing already. Who's gonna reimburse that $5,000 if this building don't go through? I mean, that's interest that highway department's paid that we're not getting anything out of.
Well, we got architectural fees and engineering and everything else involved as well.
Well, the thing is, Mr. Lyles, when this money was borrowed, the original money for the land, we borrowed $100,000 extra money, or y'all did, to pay architectural fees. Is it already gone past that 100 grand and now we're into the 400? That's a little steep to me.
Chairman Jordan, just for clarification, in the highway operating budget, he has in his budget outside, we're not talking about his fund balance or anything like that. I know that's sacred ground to him. I'm talking about in his operation budget where the notes, where the expenses of the money to pay this note. So it was built into his operation budget to pay this note back. And when it came time due, he said he wasn't going to do it. He paid the one interest payment that he's talking about. And the second one came due in June. That's when we had to step in and make the payment out of the proceeds from the project. But this was in his operating budget to pay back because, again, he didn't want to come out of fund balance on that original $400,000. That's how it got borrowed, and he was going to pay it back from his operating fund. So I want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Yes, and again, I'm not going to pay for something I'm not getting.
So, Mr. Greer.
Do we need to close this loan out and let Robert take care of the 400,000 on his own and get the county out of it?
Ms. Batts, can that be done?
Mr. Bly, I think you might have to handle this one.
Mr. Bly, wherever you are. Yes, there you are. Did you hear us?
Yes. Well, I don't know the terms of the note, but I imagine it can be prepaid. But the issue is, it seems to me that there's not enough money to pay off. There's not enough proceeds left to pay off the note. There's going to be some shortage. If we keep doing what is proposed here and using the proceeds to make the payments, interest and principal, eventually we're going to use all those proceeds. There's going to be a debt still remaining because some of the money was spent on architectural fees and some of it's been spent on interest. So you're eventually going to get to the point where you don't have any more of this money to pay back the note. And it's going to be a question of who's paying that.
I got a question.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williams.
We had to vote to borrow this money, right?
Ms. Batts?
Yes.
So on the motion, when we voted to borrow the money, in the motion, who's responsible to pay it?
Well, I think this is where it gets tricky, Mr. Bly. I know that you recall when we borrowed this money, it has to be borrowed by the county. And I don't know that there's a way to force the highway department to pay it back. Is that correct, Mr. Bly?
It is borrowed by the county. So the county is the one that is obligated to pay for it. The budgetary issues, for money to come out of the highway department, the road superintendent is going to have to sign off on a warrant to move that money to make a payment.
So bottom line, we'll get to that in just a minute. Can we table these two? Is anybody want to table?
Yeah, I'll second it.
So what we're doing, we've got a motion and a second to table this until the end of the
Road and Bridge
meeting. Is that correct?
End of this meeting, you mean?
No, Road and Bridge, yes, this meeting. A table has to be done in this meeting.
Okay.
So a motion and a second has been made to table at the end of the meeting.
Well, once Road and Bridge gives its report,
yes,
then we could vote on this.
Yeah,
We know
that's what we're saying. That's what the motion is.
Okay.
We've got a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on it? We're tabling these two parts of this motion of item 3 to be brought back at the conclusion of Road and Bridge report. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Call the roll, please.
Yes.
Ann Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Diana Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Ms.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
And that is to table it to the end of the
Road and Bridge.
road and bridge. Thank you. We're still now with a motion on the public safety project.
Motion to approve.
Motion to Mr. Binkley. Was that you, Mr. Binkley?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Sorry. Second by Mr. Anderson. Discussion on it. Call the roll, please. Oh, Ms. Ann, are you wanting to speak? Ms. Ann,
What?
did you want to speak?
No,
Well, your screen lit up. That's why.
No, I was looking.
You're just moving around. I understand. Call the roll, please.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Ann Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Diana Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yeah.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Anybody wish to change your vote? Ms. Gupton,
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
that motion has passed. We're still with you, Ms. Batts.
Item 4, budget amendment, drug control, public safety projects, $71,521. Budget vote 5 yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Funding source, drug control fund balance.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Lovell. Do we have a second by Mr. Binkley?
Yeah.
Discussion.
And that's for the security cameras and all that we're going to be putting down there. Is that correct? In addition to the construction project?
That's correct.
Anybody else?
Why wouldn't this been involved in the initial budget?
Because it was going to be funded out of the,
Drug fund?
yeah, different fund.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Actually, it was a part of the thing. Budget committee asked for it to be brought out and Sheriff paid for it. He agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Gupton, call the roll, please.
Diana Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Ann Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Ms. Gupton?
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
Well, that motion has passed as well. We're last with you. That's
Okay. Item 5, surplus items, solid waste. A solid waste backhoe. Once approved for surplus, items will be sold on GovDeals, recycled or disposed of. Budget vote 5 yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Funding source none.
Do we have a motion? Mr. Anderson make a motion. Have a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion on it.
Good looking backhoe.
That's a nice one.
I will say this, I think everybody will concur, the pictures of these items to be sold, this helps. This really helps. And in the
It does.
package, it also would help with Ms. Gupton in case somebody wants to question what it was that we sold or gave away or whatever we do with it. Call the roll, Ms. Gupton.
Use that dump trailer to haul it off.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
I'm
So we
sorry?
can use that new dump trailer to haul it off with.
Sell it for scrap.
Call the roll, Ms. Gupton.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Ann Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Donna Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Ms. Gupton,
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
declare that motion has passed as well. Anybody with questions for Ms. Bass? Sales tax is still running in what, double digits, single digits, what?
We're currently at 16% increase.
Over last year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So far this year. We had one more item though on the agenda. That's okay.
And what was that item?
Item 6 is a surplus item for other capital projects vehicles.
You are absolutely correct. Do we have a motion on that?
Motion.
Motion, Mr.
Second.
Evans, second by, I'm sorry.
Second.
Mr. Williamson. Everybody have a picture that they could see of the truck?
Yes, sir.
The mayor talked with the mayor's not back on. The mayor talked with Mr. Hogan. Mr. Hogan said to his recollection, because that's where this truck started, that 31,000 miles, it's turned over once, and he thinks it may have turned over twice. But he was not certain of that. So it's not 31, it's either 131 or 231. He's not sure which one. Anybody with other questions or concerns about the truck? Call the roll, please.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Ann Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Donna Lovell.
Yes.
Anybody wish to change your vote? Ms. Gupton?
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
That motion too has passed. Anybody with questions for Ms. Bass?
Mr. Chairman, I do. I do, Mr. Chairman. The last page of the budget section is from the Tennessee Comptroller, and it talks about Public Chapter 576, 696, and 791. It says, the first one, 576, says that we shall provide the revenue estimates for the school system to prepare their budget. What's different about it? Ms. Bass?
The schools used to project their own revenue numbers.
So now we're going to do that for them.
Correct.
And that's, okay, all right. The mixed drink tax, did they change the percentages of where it goes?
That I'm not sure of. I don't know if Ms. Gerald is on tonight to answer that question, or the mayor may know, Mayor McCarver. Do you know if they changed the mixed drink tax?
The mixed drink tax?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah. I'm sorry.
It's item 2 on the informational section. I had included it mainly because of the item 1 on there, where it discusses the revenue for the schools. It's the very last page of the budget section, the informational. Item 2 makes permanent the current mixed drink tax distribution among cities, counties, and local education agencies, but I'm unsure if that changed for County General or not.
I believe they've been running with that for a while, and this just made it permanent, because they've been doing like a year to year, and this just permanently put it in effect for what we had been following and collecting anyway. It's my understanding.
Okay, the percentage is the same then.
Yeah, they don't have to go back every year and redo it in the budget.
Okay, and my final question on this is Public Chapter 791. It talks about municipal natural gas utility systems can make appropriations to fund chambers and also to fund economic community development. Is that something, some revenues there that we could tap into to offset the cost of our ECD department?
No, Chairman Binkley, you wouldn't be able to do that. This is just allowing those to make direct contributions to the Chamber of Commerce. And since and obviously the county, we don't own and operate any of those utilities from the county standpoint. It kind of comes into play for like cities that have utility districts could do that, or standalone independent utilities. But it wouldn't really apply to any of the counties since we don't own any utilities.
Okay, well, I didn't know if it was talking about a utility district and we could go and apply like it had a grant program or something that we're going to have to set up to help fund something. But anyway, well, thanks for your explanation. I was a little confused about that.
That can be confusing, but that's what it involves as far as standalone utilities, or if you have a municipal utility that would actually be in the business of gas, electric, or water and sewer.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Anybody else?
Yeah, Ms. Batts,
Yes.
setting the revenue side for the school system, that would only be for local revenue, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
What it does, you remember, in every year, this happened, not every year, but several years, and it has happened quite a bit in the past years before Dr. Beck came into play. If the county decides that they have underestimated, and usually we look at the sales tax issue or the property tax, it basically says, okay, there's no more arguing. It's you tell us what number you want us to use, and that's the number we'll use. But it also makes us responsible for the number. Am I right, Ms. Batts?
Correct.
So if we told them to use a revenue beyond what generated, we're still held accountable for that revenue. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So that's where that comes into play. Anybody else with questions for this? Thank you, Ms. Batts. Mr. Wilkerson, are you out there?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We're all yours.
I'm sorry.
We're all yours.
Okay, we do have a public hearing tonight. I'll go ahead and read that. Public notice agenda for August 17th, 2020 is advertised in the newspaper distribution. The Cheatham County Commission will meet on August 17th, 2020 at 6 p.m. in the General Sessions Courtroom in Ashland City, Tennessee. The following items will be heard. Agenda items to be heard: Terry Powers and Luronda Moore requesting a zone change from agriculture to R1 for map 56, parcel 106. Property is located at 1215 Oakmont Road in the 5th voting district and is not in a special flood hazard area. Franklin Wilkinson, Director, Cheatham County Building Department. So in your packet is a zoning map that you should have received, and you'll see that parcel highlighted. It's toward the end of Oakmont Road there off Petway Road. It's about a 5-acre tract, and they would like to be able to divide that property and put another single family home out there.
Motion to approve.
Hold on just a second. Ms. Gupton, did you take us out of meeting for the public hearing?
Pardon?
Did you time the public hearing?
I did.
Okay, so theoretically we're now need a motion to go back into session. Do I have a motion for Ms. Lovell to go back into session?
Yes.
Do I have a second from somebody? All right, we got a motion and a second to go back into session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're back in session. Now.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Lovell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Evans. Any discussion on the item? No discussion? Not hearing any? Not seeing any hands? Call the roll, please.
Diana Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Ann Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Ms. Upton?
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
That motion has passed. Anything else, Mr. Wilson?
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Just be glad to answer questions if anybody has any.
Questions, Mr. Williams?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
I'll get to you, Mr. Binkley. Mr. Williams?
Mr. Wilkerson, I've been getting phone calls about a piece of property on 41A that's coming up, I guess, for zone change, agricultural to, looks like a R-PUD or something.
Yes, sir.
What is the steps involved in that? Because the people are wanting, I just had a lot of questions about it.
Well, they'll make application to the Planning Commission with a preliminary master plan. And that's scheduled for our next meeting in September the 3rd, I believe. They'll present their master plan and the Planning Commission will make a recommendation and it'll forward to this body like your normal rezoning.
So so the meeting on September 3rd in September, whenever it is, the people will be allowed to, it's open to the public and they'll be able to see what their plan actually is for it.
Yes, sir. We're doing sort of a hybrid type Zoom public meeting. The public is invited to attend. We just keep our distance and, a majority of the planning commissioners will be participating through Zoom, but I'll be in the room. The chairman will physically be in the room, and most of the applicants, unless they want to participate through Zoom, will be in the room, and the public can either participate through Zoom or in the meeting physically.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for you, please, sir.
Sure, go ahead.
We're presently doing Zoom right now. This county commission is doing Zoom and other people are doing Zoom that choose to do so, as I understand it, till August 31st. Is that correct?
I think it's August 29th, the last extension that the governor did on that. And in a conference call last week, we should hear something by the end of this week if he's going to extend that. He didn't give any indication last week if he is or not, but our deadline is if he doesn't extend it, then it would be over August 29th for us or any other county group.
Mr. Wilson, please keep up with that in case that he doesn't extend it.
Okay.
Will the three-sided stuff be ready by then? Mr. Mayor?
We're voting on that tonight, Mr. Jordan.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's coming through capital improvements, but the order should be placed, so we should have those in by the 4th September meeting for sure.
Okay. I knew we were. I just didn't know whether they said they could have them in 3 or 4 days or a week or whatever.
We can definitely have them by September.
You wanted them, Ms. Binkley? You wanted the floor?
I just had a question on Mr. Wilkerson's report, and I think this is more to the county attorney, where we've it looks like some cases, codes cases are civil and some are criminal. And I remembered the county attorney saying something about that they were no longer criminal because of the way he interpreted the law. So I guess my question is that why is some listed as criminal and some civil?
Well, the zoning violations are criminal: building without a permit, running a business in a residential area, and any number of activities that are zoning violations. Some of the property maintenance issues are civil, and we have to treat them differently.
Okay. Now, have we got that corrected where we can still pursue the civil thing? I know there was, I had one constituent call me and he had talked to the codes person and said he didn't have any money to pursue them civilly. Has that been corrected?
Well, if you recall the budget process beginning this fiscal year, it's still a little uncertain where their economy's headed. So we didn't get funded a line item for cleanup this go round. So So there really is no money to clean up. You know, I may try to use fund balance to some extent. It would be limited. So I got to be real selective about doing that, and doing it early in the year is a little bit, got to be cautious about that, because you want to, you know, make sure all the other things that need to get paid.
Yeah, can you, I mean, I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but if there's an issue that we need to use fund balance for, we ought at least have a vote on it. Bring up what the cost is and bring it to us. Because, you know, I don't know how many cases I've got in the first district, but we need to get a lot of that cleaned up. And I get calls from Maplewood all the time about what's going on out there again. So I'd vote to support a cleanup effort to try to get some of that mess cleaned up out there and other places.
Well, we've got bids. I can get pricing. I can bring it to the budget committee or whatever the process would be for that. I would just need to know what that is.
Can you have that ready by next month? Mr. Wilkerson?
Oh, like cleanup bids?
No. Can you have what estimated costs are going to be to do certain things?
I mean, I've already got bids on certain properties that if I had the money, I'd clean them up now.
So you can put that part of it together.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then every month, what I'm hearing you say is every month after that, you could be coming back with another list of projects.
We could, or we could, you know, get a real good idea of what we're going to try to do this year and just try to fund it.
Okay. And you can have that ready by next month.
I think so. Yes, sir.
Will that suit you, Mr. Binkley?
Yes, and I appreciate that, Mr. Wilkerson. Also, I got a phone call on the Chapmansboro Road, what we call the TP guy, and if we're back on top of that.
Yeah, we are, and he had some issues down there. Of course, there's always a lot of a story to it. Of course, he drove the camper down there, and the starter went out, and it's still there, which he wasn't supposed to have a camper down there. That's what he told me. So we're getting that cleaned up, and you know, he's either going to clean it up or he'll wind up going to court as a zoning violation.
Is he going to clean up all the debris and trash that he's got spread all over his yard?
He said he would.
If not, can we take him to court?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'd like to interject something, if I may. Mr. Wilson, one of the things that happens when these people come in and do something illegal, or they break our zoning laws, and we take multiple time, lots of time, to get them either out of there or straightened out, it makes the other people who want to do the same thing go crazy, because they're being told, no, they can't, yet they look down the road and here's this mess down the road. And that's a real problem. And I've had to try to explain that to one or two already, and they understand it. They don't like it, but they understood it. But it's tough if those properties are allowed to have those items on there for any length of time.
Yes, sir. I agree. That particular area down there in Sycamore Rec there's one. Most of the other campers you see around there have been to the Board of Zoning Appeals and gone through a process and determined it was grandfathered in. There's one, the one site Gary's talking about, it was denied, and he's just been through a cycle of, you know, he'll clean it and then he'll get back to bringing the camper in. So, you know, it's time to, you know, get it cleaned up or go to court.
And he's never really cleaned up the debris. He's moved that camper in and out a few times, but I get a lot of phone calls about that, maybe living in the neighborhood. And then the other thing, Mr. Jordan, along the lines of what you're talking about, is that I don't know why when we see a violation, we can't immediately cite them, just like a police officer would if you were speeding down the road. They write you a ticket right then and set your court date. And then if you have it cleaned up by the time you go to court, then you take the photos in there and show the judge. But we've got things. There's one over on Sweet Home Road. If that was beside me, I'd be going nuts over there. It's not in my district, but they got pigs in the front yard in a neighborhood. I'm talking about right beside them. And I just don't understand why we can't cite them and get them into court right away instead of writing them a letter and saying you got 2 weeks, and maybe if we need to change something, I'd be willing to work on that committee to change it so we could write them a citation, tell them you got a court date in 30 days or 60 or whatever it is, and if it's cleaned up, it'd be thrown out. Otherwise, you're going to be fined. Because like this case down here in our neighborhood, it's been going on 5 years. We've been dealing with this guy 5 years. We've got the same problem today we had 5 years ago. So in Maplewood, oh Lord, I get phone calls out there, and you go out there, and sure enough, here we go. Same people, doing the same thing, and I just don't understand why we can't do something about it.
Mr. Bly, can you address that about the citation part?
Well, I mean, you could do it more quickly. There is a process to go through for sending a letter and giving an opportunity to appeal. But as soon as that runs out, you can go straight to a civil citation at that point. It's always a matter of trying to figure out what works best, and what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. But I mean, the county could cite them more quickly and go straight to court and try to get that process moving, and then find out whether they clean up or not when they get to court, rather than letting it go on as long as it does.
Once you give them the letter, how long do they have to
Well, are you asking? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I don't remember. So I was going to ask Franklin.
We give them 10 days, and typically will contact us within 10 days, and some start cleaning, some don't. Some we have warrants out to go to court, and they're, I guess, really skilled at avoiding being served. So we have some that are just pretty hard to get served and get into court. So you have that. But the standard for us is 10 days.
So I guess my question would be, if I make progress, does that eliminate my 10 days to get it fixed?
If you're making serious progress and you're getting it clean, we'll work with you to keep accomplishing that.
I think that's what Mr. Binkley's trying to say, that if you could go ahead and cite them at the end of the 10 days, then they've got ever how long it is before their court appearance to finish cleaning it up, and then go into court, and the thing's going to be dismissed. Basically, is that pretty correct, Mr. Bly and Sheriff? Would that be correct?
You can certainly do it that way, yes.
Is that what you're trying to get to, Mr. Binkley?
Yeah, I mean, we got to do something. What we're doing is not working. So, I mean, I got 221, there's 221 violations on this report we get this month. And if you look at them, most of them are the same ones we had 5 years ago.
Yep.
And I don't know, I'm not fussing about it. I just want to know what we got to do to fix it, and we've been talking about it. When Miss Betty was a commissioner, Commissioner Ramsey was on there. We talked about it 4 years. She talked about it before I got on there. This has been going on and on and on and on, and it's the same ones. And there's some of them on there that are landlords, that can afford to hire somebody to go out there and clean them up. And so I don't know why we have him in court. So, but I know he's got a tough job. I mean, that's a tough job to walk up to somebody's house and tell them you got to get everything that we think's junk and you think's good out of your yard. That's a tough thing to do, and I've had to deal with several of them, phone calls. But it just ought to be doing something about it a whole lot quicker than what we're doing. 5 years time to deal with a guy that we should have had in court many, many, many times. And there's some on there been on there more than 5 years. So
You think, Mr. Wilkerson, that you and the county attorney and the mayor can get together and come up with some kind of recommendations on how to move forward with this that cuts all this time And, you know, I mean, a guy can get in violations, he gets out of violations, gets back in violations. I mean, Mr. Binkley's correct. It gets to be ridiculous.
Well, I'm not sure the ability to issue a citation like you would like speeding, because that's a whole different type of.
Well, I was using it as an example.
Yeah.
I mean, if we need to pass something, or we need to know so that we can help you do your job, or do your codes guy so he can help do his.
Well,
So-
let me do a little more in-depth looking this month, and I'll get you something for the next meeting that will include, you know, some bids on to clean some properties, and maybe we can get a little more answers then as far as how quickly, you know, some of these properties can be addressed, and then some of these repeat properties too.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's frustrating.
Anybody else for Mr. Wilson?
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, Franklin. Several of us got this anonymous letter about Sears Road in Pegram, and it's not on the list for this month. So have we checked into that one?
I'm not sure. Sears Road?
Yeah, there was an anonymous letter. I know the mayor was copied, and Jean, you, Cindy.
I didn't see.
Anyway, it's a property on 4525 Sears Road. Says there's a building structure that's serving as a storage and a living space. They don't have a building permit. They don't have a licensed contractor. They have another addition that wasn't permitted. Just wondered if we checked into that yet.
I mean, I didn't receive that letter that I remember getting, but I'll, you know, if we got the letter, I'm sure we would have. It was.
I'll send you a copy of it.
Okay. If you can do that.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Anybody else for Mr. Wilson? Thank you, Franklin. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Franklin.
You're welcome.
We are now to the property assessor. We got county clerk, trustees report. Everybody's got a copy of the trustees report. Did everyone get a copy of the circuit court and general sessions annual financial report? Because it came separate. Did everybody get one?
Yes.
So, Madam Clerk, you've got that in the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Nothing, rest of your deeds reports there, clerk. Mr. Hester, do you have anything? Mr. Hester,
Yeah, I'm here.
do you have anything outside of where we are with all this other stuff?
No, I mean, we had some stuff during the road and bridge. We'll just wait until that comes around. We'll take care of all that then.
Okay. Sheriff, anything with you?
Yes, sir. A couple of things. Our jail population is steadily increasing. We're well over 100 right now, and it seems like it's increasing each week. It's the same way in every county throughout the state. We're having a steady increase in overdoses, and also many saves, but also we've had a record number of deaths, it seems like. I want to tell you about Chief Binkley. He's been so busy in the last few weeks. He's been involved in conducting undercover beer buys throughout the county, and luckily all the merchants did comply, and they did not sell any. We're getting the same intel about some merchants, so we're going to still keep on working on them. And for the last 2 Saturdays, we've done saturations where we've had at least a dozen additional deputies out in the county conducting traffic stops, DUI stops. This last Saturday, we wrote well over 100 tickets, had several arrests. All that has been paid for by the GHSO or Governor's Highway Safety Office, and also we're definitely happy to have that state money coming into Cheatham County to help us with that. But that's pretty much all we have. If Chief, you have anything you want to add that I forgot?
No, sir, I can't think of anything.
Okay, that's where we're at.
Sheriff, I've got a question for you on it, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
And y'all have been very diligently about doing this. Do you think it would help, and can you bring somebody in from the outside that they wouldn't have a clue of who they are?
The people we're using are kids that they shouldn't know who they are. They're underage. One establishment we had, we know they're selling beer to minors, but what we learned, according to Chief learned, was that you have to stay in there and drink the beer. So, you know, so we're not going to put underage kids in there in the position of drinking beer just to you know, pop them. But we're still in it and working it, and we're going to put pressure on them. One of the things all the merchants are doing is they're once one goes in and tries to buy, all the other store owners call each other. I mean, they've got a pretty good network going. So we try to use as many as we can at one time. And Chris, if you want to, you know, also get into this, but it's just a continuing problem. We have the few that are buying, and I will say this, the few that are selling. But then the few that are selling are not Cheatham County citizens. They're from outside. They've come in here and they bought a business and they're selling to our minors. Hope that doesn't sound too politically incorrect, but that's just the way it is.
Commissioner Jordan, on that, I know in working with Chief and him in the past, that what they're doing, they don't just take one person, you know, to even try to combat them, the merchants calling. They're taking multiple people out in multiple places so that it's a swift hit all at one time. So you've got 4 or 5 people out everywhere, and they're doing everything that they can, and it's still, no matter how hard they try, it still gets through the cracks, and they still make their phone calls.
Mr. Jordan?
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, could you explain that again to me, that you can't cite them unless the minor buys the beer, has to drink it on the site?
That's just one establishment, and it's not like a market where you go in and buy your beer and walk out. This is one of these where you go in, you sit and smoke and drink. You know, I guess I'm gonna say it's a hookah bar. So we've got that one that's actually, you know, right here in National City, and we've had several complaints, and just a matter of time, we're going to pop them.
What you're saying is they won't sell it at all unless the person is going to sit there and drink it.
Yes, sir. And we just can't allow an underage person to drink. You know, we send them in. But everything else is going great. We're working very hard. I mean, the deputies are doing such an amazing job, and they are back at regular pace. And it's funny because the deputies, as well as the highway patrol, THP troopers who are assigned to the county, have said the same thing, that since COVID, a lot of drivers think that we're not pulling anybody over and they can't get a ticket. And so, you know, they're being pulled over and they're being ticketed, and it's they think everything is shut down. We did have one sovereign citizen that was stopped on Friday, and he demanded that the deputy fill out his paperwork before the deputy filled out his, and he was escorted to jail and his van was seized.
Anybody else for the sheriff?
I'd just like to say we appreciate all the work that you guys do on the drug enforcement, and all our officers. We support you guys.
Thank you, David. We never thought it would expand, and now it's expanded so into Nashville that we're just working so close with Metro, and they're thrilled that Cheatham is working with them, because in Metro nobody's getting any time. And Donna, you probably don't know that, but they come to Cheatham, they're getting jail time, real jail time, and so it's like, you know, it's a whole totally different world when it comes to enforcement. So a lot of Cheatham addicts are going to Nashville, but a lot of that, several of the dealers are coming to Cheatham, and we do the transactions, and we have a few that are sitting in jail right now.
Are we going to get an update tonight on where we're at on the design of the new jail and what that's looking like now? Or has been any changes since the last meeting? I know the last one I attended, but through Zoom, but if it's anything different.
Yes, I mean it's a continuous fluid thing that we're working on with HFR, and we're nowhere close to where we need to be on that in terms of the needs of Cheatham. So there have been several changes since you last had or was in the meeting, and also it's a continuous thing. We're tweaking it as much as we can, and are saving as much space as we possibly can.
And it seems like there may be more tweaks coming.
A lot more, yes, sir.
So I mean that's it's happening. So it's happening every time we meet with them.
Right. It is. And it's, you know, I think that they listen to everything that we request. They also have some amazing suggestions on things that we just have no. And then there's the balance between us and architects and TCI as to what we have to have by statute or by law. So it's coming together. It really is. It's a slow process, and I didn't realize how slow it would be. But it's just, you know, we talk every week, and we're meeting at least, you know, twice a month, if not more than that. So I think our next meeting, Mayor, I believe it actually is tomorrow. I believe is the jail committee at 3:00.
Mr. Mayor, you there?
On that?
Mr. Mayor, are you there?
I am, yes, sir. Yes, tomorrow is a jail committee meeting at 3:00. I will forward out the information to all the commissioners. Anybody wants to join us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody else? Your board? Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. Beck, I keep forgetting you. I got entwined in your dog a few minutes ago.
I know. They were jumping all over me and licking me in the face.
Happy to see you.
Thank you. We finished day 3. We've been open 3 days, and it's one day at a time. I think the 3 days have gone really well, and you know, we've gotten lots of feedback that has been very positive. There's certainly some feedback that is not so positive, but that's even when you're not in COVID. You know, I think it's really important to us that everybody has a choice. They have a choice to be completely virtual, or they have a choice to come to school. And I think that's important. It's a challenge when we have real gaps in connectivity with internet in Cheatham County. And we purchased, I believe, 118 hotspots to put around. And then there's a grant that's coming out with the Department of Education to get more hotspots. And so we are just really looking. We've partnered also with the utility districts to put some of the hotspots on utility poles all over the county. But now, and so we've done all of our part. We're waiting on them to, we bought the things to mount them, and we're just now waiting for them to put them up. But that is, that's a challenge in terms of the connectivity. You know, not everybody has it. And so having to work with those, we're in the hybrid model in the middle and high. And I think in terms of being in the building, that is really manageable. It's a lot less kids. Of course, it's a lot more online. They go to school personally 2 days a week, and they're online 3. But it definitely cuts down on exposure. And, you know, we've mandated masks. And when they're in the classroom and they can social distance, they can take them off. But otherwise, they're wearing a mask. We take temperatures before they come out, before they even come in the building. We're screening all of our staff. I truly believe, here's what I would say. We've seen some cases in our schools, but as of right now, of course, in day 3, none of these have originated in school. They've all originated out other places. Yeah. So we're doing the best to manage it, and it's one day at a time.
Anybody with questions for Dr. Beck?
Dr. Beck, I think you're doing a great job considering what y'all had to take on here, and all the teachers and the bus drivers. It's just awesome. We're really proud of the great effort that y'all put forth on this.
Thank you. I will tell you, it is a tremendous effort. And certainly your wife, Robin, is one of the heroes. You know, every role, everybody plays a huge role, and I truly think they're all heroes. So reach out to those that you know that work in the school district and give them some love, because some of them are truly scared. I went last week and sat down with a teacher who is truly, truly scared, and just trying to make her feel better. You know, she wants me to go virtual and just have everybody go virtual. And I told her, I said, number one, we don't have the numbers, and we were very excited to see the number go down today and have 22 recovered. That's huge. But I told her I didn't have the support to do that in the community nor with the board right now. And so I don't know, we may be in this model a long time, and we may hopefully we don't have to go virtual. I think that would be really hard on families. And so I really don't want to do that if I can help it. But they're all heroes. They absolutely are. My hat goes off to every one of them.
nobody can understand the pressure you have been under.
Yes, it's been heavy.
And it's not getting a lot better. And we commend you for everything you've done with our citizens and with the teachers. And you've always had the heart of the kids in your mind. So I can't say enough about what y'all have attempted to do and accomplished. And if you need help, don't be bashful, just ask.
Thank you. I am a huge believer in the power of prayer. And so I would ask every one of you that believe in prayer to please just cover the school district. Just cover it. Every day I drive to work and I envision God just throwing a net over the whole school district of protection. And he certainly is keeping me calm, and just keep us in your prayers.
Thank you.
I'm praying for Skip.
Can I add something that happened this morning?
Yes.
We had a special needs child from Harpeth Middle that walked away.
Yeah.
We immediately responded, and he was seen at different businesses in Kingston, and you would not believe how many business people came out, and everybody came out, and we found him almost a mile away, but we found him and had him. But everybody showed up. SRO officers came out, as well as investigators, and everybody was out there looking for this child. And so,
yeah, thank y'all. Thank you for doing that. Was very scary, and I appreciate it. You know what I did say though? I said I totally trust our law enforcement agency, and it'll just be very quick. They'll have him, and I do that.
And it's the community too. It's everybody who are working. We actually went back to different businesses to calm their fears, because they were really, really concerned and upset for this child.
Yeah. Thank you.
Business, or did you find him walking down the road?
Yep.
Yep. You found him in a business, or?
No, we found him out walking down a road, rural road. He was already away from the businesses, and he was just wandering.
Boy, that drone would have been handy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else for the director? Thank you, Mel.
Thank you.
I'm gonna skip all the way down. We're to you, Mr. Weekly, Road and Bridge.
Road and Bridge, we discussed several different items, but I've got one motion tonight. We motion to accept the low bid for the highway garage. I'll put that in form of a motion.
Road and Bridge makes a motion to accept the low bid. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Williamson. Discussion. Conversations. Mr. Edward, Mr. Greer.
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to that bid, or an amendment to that bid. I'd like to postpone the vote on the existing highway garage project till the October meeting. And I'd like to see a set of bid documents go to capital improvements for review and recommendations to the full commission. Also with this, I'd like any future projects that involves an architect, that capital improvements see the final bid documents before they go out to bid to prove. And my thought process on all this is, we really don't, approving or disapproving tonight, we really don't know exactly what we're approving, because we've not seen the actual bid documents. That's my amendment.
I second it.
Mr. Edward, Mr. Evans has seconded the amendment. Discussion on the amendment. Mr. Gilmore. I can't hear you.
Muted.
You're muted.
I fixed it. You hit the space bar like it says, and it don't unmute you sometimes. So with that and what Mr. Greer is saying, I don't disagree with what he's saying, but my question is, does that add even more unnecessary delay into the process, or is it better to do it that way so that we don't have it on the other side where we don't know what's going on? I guess that's really my question out of it. I don't want to prolong anything, but also don't, if it's a smoother streamline, I think that's what we need to look at.
Mr. Greer?
Well, I would feel more comfortable with the project, and I hope FTM will work with us on this. But I feel like we're better off to know exactly what we're quoting on these projects and can answer any questions. And I think capital improvements is the place to go with that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I got a question. Is that for all?
I can see who's talking. Mr. Williams?
Weekly,
Who's talking?
weekly.
Oh, Mr. Weekly, I'm sorry.
Is that for all future projects that requires architect from now on?
Yes, I think any future projects that go out for bid that require an architect, we need to see the final drawings before they go out to bid.
I think that is a long time coming. It should have been done a long time ago. And Mr. Chairman, if it's fitting, I'll withdraw my motion.
So, Mr. Weekly, you're going to withdraw your motion, and Mr. Greer, your amendment becomes a motion?
That's correct.
Mr. Anderson?
All right, my question is about the 400,000. If we are going to delay this 60 days, so what happens with the 400,000? Does Mr. Hester not have to pay that now or what?
That's got nothing to do with my motion at this point, I don't think.
It doesn't. That comes as soon as something that either happens or doesn't happen. Mr. Williams?
Okay, thank you.
I got 3 questions.
Yes, sir.
I think if this passes, this will help because a lot of the commissioners doesn't know what all's in these plans. I've heard some stuff, and maybe Mr. Johnson can answer this. Why? One question is, why would it cost more when we combine the 2 buildings into one? And the second thing is, why are we putting bulletproof glass in this building? And why would a set of stairs to go upstairs would cost $40,000?
I agree with what you're saying, Mr. Williams. Mr. Greer's motion, if it passes, addresses that to where those kind of questions could get answered in a committee and then report it back out. Or we report out that we are in favor of this project less these things being taken out. It gives somebody a really good chance to go over those specs, because all we saw originally was the original drawing. We don't know what the details said.
Yeah, but if Mr. Greer's motion passes, can we go back now and change these plans, capital improvements? But if we do, it'll have to go back out to bid again.
Well, my motion, I think we'll still we'll just make recommendations back to the commission, but I don't think at this point we need to rebid it. We may want to work with FTM on cutting some things out. Since this one's already bid, I wouldn't feel that it was proper to send it back out for bids again.
The problem with sending this back out to bid is these bid numbers are already known now by every bidder that bid on it. So if you throw it back out to bid, unless they decide to pull their bid out, if you throw it back out to bid, then all the other companies know what to deal with. Mr. Greer's saying that if Capital Improvements looks at this and says, yeah, we're okay with the project except for the following, or we're okay with it like it is. And these are the things that are in it. And every commissioner that's got any questions about what's in this project can get that addressed through capital projects and be done with it.
Chairman Jordan.
If this happened on the front end, we wouldn't be here. Yes, whoever said.
The current bid that we have in front of us as a low bid, that bid would expire September 30th. So the timeline that Mr. Greer has spelled out, if that could be shortened to come back next month. I mean, the plans are there, and capital improvements will be meeting the first week of September if everything stays on track, or the second Monday of September. So they'd have time to review it and report back to the committee or the full commission in September. But if it goes past September 30th, they would not have to honor that bid unless they decide to. Just want you to be aware of that.
And that's why I said I hope that FTM will work with us on that.
Mr. Binkley, you're chairman of the capital improvements. What do you think, what time frame do you think is reasonable for y'all to review?
Well, I mean, it seems like we've brought up a lot of issues here with this particular project. I'm all about Mr. Greer's motion as far as in the future, but there's been a lot of, I mean, we spent a lot of money on architect fees and looking at drawings and talking it, and I guess kicking the can down the road. And now we've got it up for a vote tonight. Either we're going to do it or not going to do it. And I mean, to delay it, I don't know. I mean, if you saw something in the packet that we're asking for, what are you going to do? You're going to say no? I mean, Mr. Hester's looked at it. Capital improvements, we've talked about it. I have a problem with the $40,000 staircase, but I think we ought to vote on it tonight, and either we're going to build a high garage or we're not. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's prices aren't going to get any cheaper. So that's my thoughts.
Mr. Williamson?
Well, I know we don't design the building, but who asked to put bulletproof glass in that building? None of our other county offices, other than maybe the sheriff's department, where they're going to build under at Tucker Emerson, it's going to have bulletproof glass. If the area we're building this in is that bad, we shouldn't have bought the property.
Well, I asked to put the bulletproof glass in the original building, Mr. Williamson. We're hiring a guard up at Sycamore Square. I mean, what's that cost? So, I mean, we got a guard there. We got a little bulletproof glass, because it is getting to be a serious world we live in. And I've been to active shooter classes. It was just a little something there. And I mean, I thought we had the workshops we've had 2 workshops to approve plans. I thought all this was ready to, I'm like Mr. Binkley now. I say vote on it or not. That's just my opinion. And I left the designing of this to the engineer.
The problem is we don't see the final design, the final details and designs on any of these projects where we'll vote on. There's a lot of things in this project that we don't know what's going on. Without saying, not that you're trying to sneak anything by us, it's just that we don't know the details.
I'm not trying to sneak anything by Mr. Greer. I thought that's why we had the workshops, to hammer everything out, all the details, and to look at the plans and ask questions.
Well,
you've done a lot of building, Gary. How do you spend $40,000 on a set of stairs going up one floor?
Well, the only thing I can think of is they're building them out of steel, having them with all the handrails going up there, and then pouring concrete in them. I mean, that's still very expensive, but I haven't seen it. I ain't seen that. That wasn't given to us to look at. Where did you see that at, Mr. Williams?
What's it cost to build an elevator?
Well, you can spend a lot of money on an elevator, but I know a home elevator is about $30,000. But you can't. They're building a mezzanine over the top of the office area. That was explained to us, and that's very expensive because it's concrete. So they're pouring concrete up in the air, and there's going to be all kinds of steel reinforcement and also support beams underneath that concrete to hold it up. So mezzanine's very expensive, and that was one of the increase in cost that took the project over what we bid out when we had 2 separate buildings. Also, the increase in the cost was the automatic gates that are going in that wasn't going in before. I think that was 50 or 60,000 he reported to us. So there were some things that were added that drove the cost above what originally we had on the 2 buildings. That wasn't part of the 2 buildings. So, we looked at it. We took the lowest bid, and whatever everybody else wants to do, but I think we ought to vote on it tonight. Either Mr. Hester stays where he's at, now that the port's not coming in out there at this point, or we build him a building, and so he can quit worrying about it.
Amen.
I just think we need to vote on it tonight, and everybody vote yes or no, and The mayor says it's a 7-year payment plan to pay for it. So that's all been decided. I certainly don't want to pay any more architect fees.
12 years, Commissioner Binkley.
Well, okay.
Yeah, just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
We right now have a motion on the floor to do what Mr. Greer has suggested. Mr. Evans seconded that motion. There's two things in that. One is to do this project that way as well, but the other part of that is to do all future projects that way. The last thing I think, and I'm just saying this, the rest of you may disagree, and that's fine. You don't want to go down into your neighborhood and somebody say, did you know that there's a marble floor in this building? And you sitting there saying, no, I did not know. And I'm not suggesting that there is. I'm just saying that when you don't know what's in that building from a construction part, and, you know, it makes it different. It's hard to answer somebody if you're spending their money.
Yep. I agree with that.
Well, you know, I'd like to somebody, I think they said the fuel tanks and the island and everything was going to be excess of just the tanks, $250,000. Well, how many years will it take to offset that $250,000 in fuel savings? How many gallons of fuel do you burn a year, Robert?
I couldn't answer that right off the top of my head, Mr. Weekly. I could get you them figures, but I'm not prepared to answer that tonight. And I'm going to tell you, if we have to go down to Walmart or somewhere like that and everybody's fueling up, you're talking about a lot of time.
Well, how are you fueling up now?
Not when you don't have to wait in line. You fuel up right there on the yard before you leave out. You don't have to go down there and circle Walmart and wait in line. I've done that during the 210 flood. It's not fun, and it's very time consuming.
But it's going to take a long, long time to where it'll pay for itself.
I don't know if it will or not. If you're down at Walmart paying $219 or $229 versus right now, I don't know what exactly. I can't remember exactly what it is. Probably around $1.70 to $1.80. That's a lot of savings.
Mr. Weekly?
Yes, sir.
If you saved a quarter a gallon, you'd have to buy 1 million gallons of fuel to make that $250,000.
That's just on the tanks. That's not counting the shelter and the pumps and everything.
You also have to consider not just the fuel costs, but you got to consider the man hours that you're wasting by having to get in line and go somewhere else to buy it. So, I mean, if you're gonna do an analysis on it, you need to throw everything in there. You got a lot of costs of 3 or 4 guys waiting for the thing to fill up, waiting to get, and then go up and pay for it and all that. So I'm not saying that we ought to do it. I'm just saying that if you're going to analyze it, throw in all the factors to look at, not just the cost of fuel. That's all I'm saying.
But he has a tank now. Why can't he move that tank?
I don't think you can move those tanks. They've been in the ground for so many years. I don't think that I've been down that road. I don't remember all the answers to that, but I don't think you can move those tanks. Those tanks there have some issues anyway with some waters and stuff in the bottom. Like I told y'all from the beginning, I don't want to move for less than what I got. You know, we're cutting back already here, wanting to do without my fuel tanks and me wasting an hour or 2 a day trying to get everybody down to fuel up, especially on busy days. You know, we're going to do this thing. Let's do it all.
Mr. Greer, your motion staying?
Yes.
Mr. Evans, your second staying? We got the motion on the floor, or a motion on the floor to delay it to postpone it for 60 days and go through that review with capital improvements. That's what we're voting on at this point.
But you're also voting any future projects to come to capital improvements. Yeah. We got 2 issues here.
That's correct.
I'd like to see that divided out because I can't vote for it the way it is. And I'm supportive of it coming to capital improvements and a detailed plan. But I think we separate the two individual issues into two separate motions. That's just what I think. Or someone will have to vote again.
Any thought between the sponsor? Mr. Greer, you gonna leave it like it is?
Yeah, let's leave it like it is and go from there.
Okay, motion is what it is. Everybody understands what the motion is. Any more discussion on it? Mr. Williams? Mr. Williams?
If we leave it at 60 days and we don't vote on it, it's going to go back out to rebid.
Yep.
Unless the low bidder is willing to accept it and hold on to it for a longer period of time.
What my motion was, the October meeting, that's just not 60 days. And I don't know if there's a difference there. Come back at the October meeting.
What it amounts to, you're running a risk one way or the other. If the low bid says, no, I'm not going to hold my bid any longer than 60 days and that window passes, then it would have to be rebid.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
why couldn't it maybe change that to
Anderson,
be
wait.
done before the 30th of September when the bid ends?
Hold on your thought just a minute. Mr. Bly, question for you. If the low bidder withdraws his bid because of the 60 days, do you have to rebid it or can you go to the next bidder?
Could probably go to the next bidder.
Okay.
Hey, Johnny, FTM is here. Can we ask them?
No, I think that would be inappropriate to ask
Okay.
them.
Okay.
I think it's putting them on the spot that's not there.
Okay. I understand.
Mr. Anderson, you had something you were saying.
All I'm saying is if the bid expires September 30th, why couldn't Ed change that to before September 30th, like say 40 days instead of 60, so that that bid would still be in place to accept it or not?
Well, you'd have to come back and have a Call County Commission meeting, which you could do. Vote on
Gary,
it.
let me ask Gary. Gary, do you think we can review this before the September meeting? The
We
drawing?
can't. It is according if they can get that to us or not, but we're going to meet in September. So on the second Monday. So yeah, we can definitely do it September and then bring it up. But the question is can they get us all the specs and all the particulars about the building so that we can review them?
Well, they've already been sent out for bids, so they should be just copying us that.
Well, there you go. If that's the case.
I'd like to change my motion to this September, if that'll clear things up on this one, and then.
So your motion now is not 60 days. It's to, keep in mind, you got two parts of the motion.
Right. The other part doesn't change.
Okay, reshape your motion then.
30 days?
You want me to restate it?
Yeah, I would like you to restate it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Postpone the vote on the existing highway project until the September meeting and send a complete set of bid documents to Capital Improvements Committee for review and recommendations to the full committee.
Second.
The full commission.
Okay.
And also, any future projects that require an architect, before going out to bid, a complete set of bid documents are to be sent to Capital Improvements Committee for review and recommendations to the full commission.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
That is, if the Capital Improvements Committee reviews it and then they make recommendations to change something, you have to rebid it.
Mr. Bly.
Possibly. It depends on the how significant the changes are.
So it could cause a rebid.
It could.
Good. Mr. Gilmore.
How's that going to be fair to the people to bid on it, everybody that bid?
Well, if it's significant changes, that would be the reason you would have to rebid it, because it wouldn't be fair to the other bidders.
Mr. Gilmore.
So we got two motions in one there. For the record, I just want to go on record as saying that I wish he wouldn't put both of them together when they're two different issues.
Well, I understand what you're saying. He dropped the first one back to 30 days.
Right. And that's on, but that's on the highway garage project.
Right.
In my opinion, we ought to vote on that and then take up, the second part of his motion, which was from future projects from now on, bid packet has to come for the capital improvements. I think it's two different motions.
Yes.
Right now, we've still got Mr. Greer.
Okay.
And I'll make a statement, Mr. Donnie.
Yes, sir. Give me just a second with Mr. Greer. Yes, sir.
I will change it. I'd like to ask to the commission, is everybody clear on everything that's going on in this building currently?
No.
That's my reason for leaving the bid, leaving the motion as one motion.
So you want it to stay in one motion? Okay. Mr. Robert, Mr. Hester.
Yes, sir. And it's strictly y'all's call. Y'all, the commissioners, I'm not. But if we keep on, this is twice we've let this out to bids. If we lose this bid and have to let it out to bids again, what's this going to do to the bids? I mean, are they going to keep saying, well, hey, we're wasting our time here. If we let this out to bid again, I mean, is this going to drive bids up? I mean, you know what I'm saying? If I was bidding on this job, I would probably take that in consideration. It's strictly y'all's call. It's just a thought.
Anybody else?
Protect the taxpayers' money, what we're doing.
Well, hey, Mr. Evans, I'm all for it. If that's what y'all think. I'm not trying to rush it. I mean, it's been 3 years.
See what I'm bidding on.
Anybody else with comments or questions? Mr. Weekly withdrew his, so the motion is Mr. Greer's motion. Ms. Gupton, do you have the motion?
I do.
God bless you. Call the roll, please.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
No.
Ann Giroux,
No.
Tim Williamson,
No.
Chris Gilmore,
No.
Connie Mayo,
Pass.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Dinah Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
okay. Have 8 yes.
Whoa. Anybody wish to change your vote? Anybody at all? Ms. Gupton, thank you.
8 yes, 4 no, 0 absent.
So the motion to postpone has passed.
Yes.
We are back to Mr. Weekly. Anything else with Road and Bridge?
We had two other issues, but we don't want to bring them up tonight. We'll bring them up we'll bring them up next meeting.
Okay. Give me just a moment. I'm having trouble seeing the agenda. Capital improvements?
Mr. Chairman, we did meet, and And we had 5 items on the agenda. The mayor's there. The sneeze guards for the county clerk and register of deeds had 3 different companies to bid that. I'm not bid it, but kind of give us a quote on it. And so since it was over $10,000, the mayor's going to put that out for a bid. And so that's number 1 on the sneeze guards. And of course, that's the register of deeds, the county clerk, and any of the offices out at Sycamore Square. And the range of bids was $13,000 up to $22,500, just so you know. Number 2 was the commissioner's standalone sneeze guards that we had a bid from Pleasant View Glass that we accepted, $2,150. And I'll put that in the form of a motion to spend $2,150 to buy the sneeze guards. And it's going to be paid for with COVID money from the state, according to the mayor.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, Mr. Evans. Discussion on it? Anybody? Call the roll, Ms. Gupton.
Gary Binkley.
Yeah.
Ann Giroux.
Yes.
Tim Williamson.
Yes.
Chris Gilmore.
Yes.
Connie Mayo.
Yes.
Donnie Jordan.
Yes.
Walter Weekly.
Yes.
Don Lovell.
Yes.
Eugene Evans.
Yes.
Ed Greer.
Yes.
Randy Lyles.
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Ms. Gupton?
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
Motion, I declare, has passed. Anything else, Mr. Binkley?
I have a question about that.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So we're gonna have these plexiglass things around each of us when we go back into the courthouse. What about the audience? Do they come in with masks, or how does that work?
Mr. Mayor?
At this point, Commissioner Pike, we will follow the guidelines of what's in the courts now, which are mandating masks and also taking the temperature here at the front door before they're allowed in. So that will happen. Also, we've talked with security about having a second security officer upstairs with us, not only at the front door, but second security officer would maintain that none of the public would be allowed on the commission side of the banister, so to speak. And then also we will do social distancing in the audience. So all those measures will take place to hopefully keep everybody as safe as we can.
Okay, thank you.
That will also apply about the mask to the commissioners, which is going to make it a little bit more difficult. But we can't ask one body. Now I'm talking about when we're talking. I think when you're behind the sneeze glass and you're there, I think you can take them off. Do you not agree, Mayor? Mayor?
Sorry about that. I would agree with that, Chairman Jordan, that we'd want to keep them on, especially until we settle in. And then as long as we're 6 feet apart, sneeze guards should help. But definitely welcome anyone to keep their mask on if they want to, if we're not talking, and so they can be understood. May have to take it off while they're addressing the body, but I agree with you on that front. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody with questions on any of that part? Okay. Mr. Binkley, anything else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The next item was the HVAC. We've asked the mayor to go ahead and get us some prices on putting HVAC in the side entrance where the security post is set up because of the ventilation issues that they have down there. So, Mayor, do you have anything to add to that tonight? Have you come up with any numbers?
We should get a quote back here in the next week or so that I'll be bringing back capital improvements. But this is a security area, and for those of you may not be aware, that used to go all the way up to the second floor and open with the stairs. And so when they built out the clerk's office or the circuit court clerk's office upstairs, they took in that top row and they left one, probably at the most, a 5 by 10 vent that comes down, and tries to cool and heat that area. And you're familiar with it. It's in glass, it's enclosed in glass, door open and closing. It kind of becomes a human microwave down there. Plus they have no control over the thermostat. It's upstairs with the ladies, and unfortunately they get cold and they turn the air down, or they get, and anyway, it's a battle over that. So that's the reason we're trying to get their own thermostat and be able to heat and cool and have control over that area. So it's cool in the summer and warm in the winter.
Anything
And
else?
then, yeah, number 4 was the build out for the VSO relocation and the bathroom at Sycamore Square. Unless the mayor has anything else to add on that, I think we've talked about that tonight and voted on it.
Yes, sir.
And then the last thing I'll just bring up is we did discuss the logs that are stored in one of the maintenance buildings back behind the Shell station in Ashland City, about what to do with them. They've been sitting in there for years, and we need to either use them or do away with them. I talked to our county historian and also the CHIGA president about them, and they would like to see them something done with them, as far as educational. And there was suggestions thrown around about maybe trying to erect that back out at the public library someplace. But so that'll be ongoing conversations. And then Mr. Lyles had said that he would talk to the log place in Kingston Springs and see if they had any idea about, because they had the plan at one time, and to put all that back together and put it on a site for us. And we're going to get some updated numbers on what it would cost, and maybe not do as elaborate as the original plan was, where there was a rock fireplace and I don't know, doors and windows. If we did nothing but just, re-erected it and the best that we could with limited funds, and kind of go from there. But so anyway, that's still in the works. Anybody have any suggestions? I'd love to hear them.
Anybody for Mr. Binkley? Mr.
That's all
Binkley, if the committee votes not to go forward with doing any of that and letting it go, I would appreciate if we would get back to the family that donated that to us and see if they want them back for any purpose they might have.
Yeah, who was that, Mr. Jordan?
It was Ina Lou Allen.
Lou Allen. Okay.
Lives over on top of Greenbrier Hill.
Okay.
Anybody else? I'm sorry.
We'll be talking.
Mr. Baker?
I was just going to say, we'll continue to discuss it and just see what we can try to get some kind of resolution on it and move forward.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else for Mr. Binkley? Calendar and rules?
Yes, we met. We had one thing. Cheatham County Libraries Board of Trustees would like to recommend the trustees for nomination for another term of service: Corey Foster, Anthony Gross, and Lindy Merv. Each trustee will serve another 3-year term ending June 30th, 2023. It was 6 yes, 0 no. I put that in the form of a motion.
You have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Binkley.
Yes.
Discussion on it?
Yes.
All those in favor say, that doesn't have to have a roll call, does it?
No.
Why? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have that. Anything else from calendar and rules?
No, that's it.
Anything from Tech Committee, Mr. Gilmore, reviewing the mayor talk?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Jordan, we have, and we'll get with all the members of the tech committee. I'll try to do that tomorrow. Yeah, the mayor's put some stuff together with Mr. Cannon and some ways that we can take care of it. So we'll get together and try to get that where we can get it scheduled for the September meeting. Is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Thanks for all your hard work on that.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah, the Education Committee met tonight, voted on a couple items. Dr. Beck, if I get this wrong, you straighten me out. They're going to end up needing $429,069.61 out of fund balance to balance their general schools budget.
Put that in the form of a motion.
Yes.
We have a second.
Second.
Mr. Anderson's got his hand up first. In discussion on allowing the board, they told us they were gonna have to do that early on in the process. They just were not certain of the final number. I think they are now. We've approved their budget, but this kind of amends it to make sure that that's the right number. Any questions? Any conversations on it? Call the roll, please.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Diane Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
and Jerome.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Not seeing anybody raise their hand or anything. Ms. Gupton?
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
Mr. Williams, that motion has passed. We're still with you.
Okay, we have a second item. We voted to move on to the commission. They're wanting to take $200,000 out of their fund balance, 141, put it in line 143, which is their cafeteria budget, to carry them over. I believe it was still the federal funds. Am I right, Dr. Beck?
This is until USDA sends in the reimbursements. We are close to, we don't want to go we don't want our budget to go in the red. And we're worried about when USDA is going to send the reimbursements. And this would ensure that we could make payroll for 2 months and not go in the red in case we're still waiting on the reimbursements. So it's just kind of it's a proactive way to not be overdrawn.
You putting that in form of a motion, Mr. Williams?
I am, and Dr. Beck, didn't you say that you're going to keep a running total of that $200,000?
Yes.
In a separate line and keep track of it.
Yes. We hope to. We're just trying to. It's kind of a sense of security. Just we don't want a budget an audit finding for going in the negative, and so things with nutrition right now are iffy, and we're just trying to be proactive to make sure that we cover ourselves.
I'll make a motion to take the $200,000 out of fund balance and put it in their cafeteria.
We have a second. Second, Ms. Lovell. Is everyone clear on what they're doing? Dr. Beck, one question is you're doing this, Mr. Williams, as the reimbursement comes in, the money goes back into 141?
That's what we hope to do. Yes.
Okay.
We need to see how our nutrition, of course, nutrition is, we'd like it to be self-sufficient. It's not. We were so excited. I will tell you, the first 2 years I was here, our nutrition department did not pay for itself. And we had both years to fill in the gaps. This past year was the first year we were on track to end the year in the black. And we were so excited. And our nutrition director has worked so hard, and then COVID hit. And then all of a sudden, when you have zero participation, and it's troublesome to try to end in the black. So right now, of course, we've been in school a whopping 3 days. Our participation's kind of low, but we are just trying to make sure that we cover so that we don't go in the red, and we can make payroll without having to do that. So yes, that's our goal, is to put it back in fund balance.
Everybody clear? Any other questions for it? Call the roll.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Diane Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
and Jerome.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Ms. Gupton?
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent.
That has passed as well, Mr. Williams. Next.
That's all we have.
Anybody questions for Mr. Williams?
Mr. Williamson, did we not have the capital construction? We didn't have to vote on that though, did we? We just.
We
wanted
did not,
to-
but for
Right.
information, let's see, they had,
Yeah.
they informed us tonight they have $3,109,558.17 in their capital projects,
Yeah.
which that's going to be coming down because of the projects that will be paid forward that they've been doing during the summertime.
Yes. I'm sorry. I thank you, Tim.
Anybody else with questions for Mr. Williamson? The committees I haven't called didn't meet, so I haven't left a committee off, have I? I'm trying to read this in the dark. Ms. Batts, where are you? Ms.
I'm right
Batts?
here. I'm right here.
We are back to you with those two items.
Okay. Highway and street capital projects, $302,542.33. Highway and streets, only amend budget if needed, $138,188.89.
This is money we borrowed, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So if the project does not go forward, this money will end up being county money, possibly.
If we don't end up using the money, then there will probably be another budget amendment later on down the road to pay the remainder of the loan back with however much we have remaining of the 400,000.
But what I'm getting at is this, if the project doesn't go anywhere, and we honor what Mr. Hester has requested, that he not pay anything if he gets nothing, then the money will become county money at some point.
Well,
Is that-
that's correct, but we would still have to pay it back.
I know, but paying it back will be county money.
Yes.
The way I understand it, Mr. Chairman, it's county money now. We borrowed it. The county borrowed it, not Mr. Hester. But it's county money. And if we don't do the project, then we'll be responsible to come up with money to make up the difference of the cost that we've already expended out of this 400,000 to pay the note off. So it could be right now
That's
80,000.
correct. You're correct. Everything you've said is correct. Where the confusion is, where I wanted to make sure people understood, there's a lot of discussion that Mr. Hester made a commitment to pay the 400,000, but he also specified that he wasn't going to do anything if we didn't move forward. So I wanted to clear that up, that this could turn around and be county. When I say county, county general fund balance or some fund to pay this back is what I'm getting at. So the movement of this money tonight has no effect on Mr. Hester at this point.
Right.
Okay.
I follow that.
Okay. Does everybody? Mr. Hester?
Would we be purchasing the land as a county if we don't move forward with the highway garage on that property? Then we would purchase the property and use it for county uses or whatever?
The purchase of the property has already taken place.
Oh, okay.
Right, Mr. Mayor?
That is correct, Chairman. It's county property. So if this falls through, the commission would have option to sell it or have some other use for it or set on it for now, whatever direction from the commission that y'all wanted to go.
Thank you.
So to make sure Mr. Hester's with us, this motion has no effect on his budget at this time, correct?
Correct.
Does anybody need any further clarifications? Anybody at all? Call the roll, please.
No, we need a motion.
Oh, I thought we already had the motion. Do we have a motion to do?
Motion to approve.
I'm sorry, I couldn't see it. Mr. Weekly, is that you? Mr. Weekly made the motion.
I believe you had a motion because you laid the motion on the table.
We did.
Tabled the motion.
In a second.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Batts.
Was it withdrawn?
No, it was motion to table it.
Table it. Hold on.
Well, that was the only motion we had, was to table. No,
Motion to table.
motion was to table.
And
So
then we
now-
approved item 3.
So we're now back to that item again, and we don't have a motion. We tabled it, now we're voting on it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I need a motion.
Walter.
Mr. Weekly made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms.
Lovell.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, the mayor called you something else a few minutes ago, and I thought I'd gotten through with that. We got a motion and a second by Ms. Lovell. Do we have any more discussion on it?
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
If we paid this off and we still do the project, can the road department not borrow the money themselves to pay that back over the 3 years?
I do not think so, but Ms. Batts, can you answer that question?
And way I asked that question before because we would have done it that way had we had the opportunity to. And we were under the understanding that no, that they could not borrow their own money. Unless Mr. Bly knows something different.
Mr. Bly.
I think the county borrows the money. I don't think the highway department can borrow money on its own. It might be possible to borrow money and pledge funds from the highway department to pay it back, but it's still the county borrowing the money.
Mr. Black, we take the money out of his fund balance to pay the loan back.
Any money that any money out of the road department, the highway department's budget is going to require the consent of the road superintendent because he has to sign off on it. So if he's willing to do that, then yes.
And if he's not willing to do that, do we have the ability to do it and then solve it in court?
Possibly. I mean, that would be the only way to force the money to be transferred would be by going to court.
The reason I'm asking this, Mr. Bly, is earlier on, 2 months ago, a month ago or so, Mayor, where are you? You here? Mayor?
Right here, what can I help you with?
I'm sorry. I thought we had some assurances from attorneys, CTASC attorneys, county attorney and all, that we had the ability to do that.
We did have that assurance from CTASC and also some direction from the comptroller's office that the commission would be in position as far as the fund balance. Is that correct, Ms. Batts?
Yes, well, it was because there was a budget amendment on the table and the commission had the right to amend that budget amendment that was on the table. Now, I don't believe that the commission can just bring a budget amendment up and say you will move X amount of dollars from your fund balance. But how it was done before, it was amended down from 850 and a portion of that was put towards something else other than what was actually requested. And that was permitted.
Well, I wish that'd been made clear.
Well, I think the distinction here is that you can amend the budget. You can change what's authorized to be spent and you can make it go up or down. But, you know, as with any other budget, just because it's in the budget doesn't mean it gets spent.
Is that
So
because he deals it with his own checks and so forth?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
I sign my own AFPs when stuff, you know, we buy stuff that comes across my desk. I sign my own authorization for payments.
And that's different, Ms. Betts, that's different from other elected officials?
No. I mean, well, county general is in the county general, but he has his own fund. So, but yes, but all department heads sign off on their own budgets. So I guess that would be true for all department heads if they, would that be the case, Mr. Bly, with the department heads that are in county general?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look on sort of a case-by-case basis. But the law that sets up the highway department says that the money can only be drawn upon a warrant signed by the road superintendent and the county mayor.
Okay. All right, we're to her amendment. Does everybody understand what her amendment's doing? If you don't, please speak up. We've said enough, we may confuse the whole thing. Not hearing anything, Mr.
Repeat what we're voting on, Mr. Jordan.
I'm sorry?
Repeat what we're doing here.
Ms. Betts, please repeat it.
Okay, under item 3, budget amendments, general capital projects, the first 2 items listed there, the $302,542.33 is what was remaining at June 30th of the $400,000 note. And then the following budget amendment, which will be amended if needed, $138,188.89, essentially will be deducted from the 302 above it if Mr. Hester does not want to pay the note out of highway fund balance. I mean, I'm sorry, out of the highway budget, which is already budgeted for. Those funds are already budgeted there to make the note payment. But if he chooses not to sign the AFP to make that note payment, then this will allow me permission to amend the capital projects budget to pay the note back with the original $400,000 note proceeds that we borrowed. So it's basically paying the note back with borrowed money. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else questions for Ms. Batts? Ms. Gupton, please call the roll.
Walter Weekly,
Yes.
Diana Lovell,
Yes.
Eugene Evans,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
Randy Lyles,
Yes.
David Anderson,
Yes.
Gary Binkley,
Yes.
Ann Giroux,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Mr. Williamson, are you there? Go on and come back to him, please.
Chris Gilmore,
Yes.
Connie Mayo,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Anybody wish to change your vote? Upton, record the vote.
I have 11 yes, 0 no, and 1 absent.
Declare that motion now has passed. Anything else, Ms. Batts, in your section?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion on the consent agenda? Motion to approve by somebody. Mr. Anderson, second by Ms. Lovell. Discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Mr. Anderson? You're muted. You're muted.
Was Ron Banner?
What?
Mr. Barron.
I'm sorry. I got so confused in that other one.
I don't think he talked yet, did he?
Him or Jerome, either one.
Yeah, him or JT.
I'm sorry. We back up. If anybody with made that motion have any objections to me backing up?
No.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Byrne.
I'm not skipping JT, am I? Okay. All right. Hey, I know y'all are tired and I'm about to fall asleep here, but y'all got a copy of our highlights in your packet. I ask that you please just look over it, read it, because we always put positive impact things that are happening in our county with the educational programs. I'm really proud of what our 4-H agents are doing, working diligently with the school system, with the teachers and parents and students. This will be the first time in 60 years that we haven't had our 4-H agents there in the classroom conducting 4-H club. They're working on virtual programs. They've been working with the kids this summer with educational programs, and I'm real proud of what they're doing. They're looking at some I guess, some almost futuristic ideas. We're looking at locations, probably going to buy some more video equipment and whatnot, but they've got a lot of really co-educational, I guess, co-curricular activities go along where teachers can plug those in where they choose to use those as well with some of the virtual programming, or parents at home as well, to be able to conduct even some of the, the leadership programs and educational activities. So they're working hard on that, and I'm real proud of what they're doing. They also wanted me to be sure and mention the 4-H chick chain auction will be back on the courthouse square. I think I mentioned that last month, that on September the 11th at 7 o'clock. There's a lot of families that are trying to raise their own everything now. So there's a lot of people looking for these birds, and the kids and the families have had a huge learning experience, of course, producing them for that. Like I said, a lot of the things are in our highlights. We've been working a lot with, making a lot of farm calls to help families with this coronavirus food assistance program for a lot of our families who do not have internet access or internet even capabilities to be able to fill out this program, which is basically the farm, it's a farm stimulus program that was from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and they're looking at a second round of that coming out as well. I was out in Commissioner Weekly's neck of the woods today working with some older families out there to help them sign up. Even though this is a USDA program, we're helping the USDA offices with this, because our local USDA office has been closed because of coronavirus in their office. So they were closed for 2 weeks. Making lots of farm calls, field visits to diagnose plant problems. And we've got all of our research plots still going on with forages, tobacco and soybeans, and been doing a lot of Hispanic labor training as well, which is also in our highlights directly on the farms. The Farm Bureaus work with us to give us a location where I can have small group meetings. I know we've got the McCullough room that we can use, but that place stays just about booked up. But I've got a lot of farmers. We've got to have certain training to be able to apply for programs, to be able to buy pesticides and different things. And I can work with the Farm Bureaus, graciously allowing us to use their boardroom where I can have like 5 or 6, 7 people at a time and keep them socially distanced by UT guidelines and so forth, and the CDC protocol, face mask, and I've even got a little temperature gun to check people's temperature with. But there's a lot going on. We appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all give me the opportunity just to get to share some of the wonderful things that are happening. I really admire and feel, I guess I admire and feel for Dr. Beck too, what she's doing. My wife is the director of student teaching at Austin Peay. She's been working 12 hours a day trying to figure out how they're going to place student teachers and follow all the guidelines too in the school systems like they're having. So just, but I really want to really appreciate her a lot.
Thank you, sir.
That's it. Thank y'all.
Apologize for skipping over.
Hey, that's all right. I appreciate it. JT's one that skipped over.
Yes. How's everybody? I want to echo what Ronnie said. My wife works at university, and they have very similar issues. So Dr. Beck is doing really great and hard work. I know how it is. We're still seeing a lot of projects. We currently have 5 that I would consider in the active list, and I met with 1 today, 1 tomorrow. We may have 2 more to add to that after I see what's going on with those. Still getting a lot of RFIs. Had one Friday that required a 50,000 foot building with 30-foot ceiling height, expandable to 120,000, which we do not have in our community. So we're still getting those, but we're not responding to as many of them without the land needed or there's the buildings. But that's okay. We've got plenty that we're working on otherwise, and it's still really busy. So I hadn't seen much change actually. The project's a little different than they were before, but it's still very active.
Thank you, sir. Anybody with questions? Thank you very kindly, both of you. Yes, somebody? Okay, not hearing anything else for either one of those 2 gentlemen. We have a motion on the floor be made by someone about the consent agenda. Please do it one more time.
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Binkley, to approve on the consent agenda. Second by Mr. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, do so by saying aye. Anyone opposed? The ayes have that. The consent agenda has been approved. Any other announcements? Yes, sir.
Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. Binkley.
If anyone hasn't been out to the site development at the Veterans Memorial or Park, don't really know the official name of it yet, but that group has done an unbelievable job that out. And I went out for a tour the other day. Mr. Nichols gave me a tour of that, and that's going to be something that we're really going to be really, really proud of. It's just a lot of great ideas, and it's going to be something special right there on the corner of Bell Street. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to that group, whoever is all involved with that. But you ought to stop by and see it, what they're doing. It's going to be something we can really be proud of. And then the last thing I have is the 74th annual Ashland City Lions Club Turtle Derby is coming up at the end of the month, last Saturday of the month. If anyone would like to be a part of that, turtles, we sell them for $10 a piece, and you can name your turtle whatever you want, but every single penny goes to buy eyeglasses and pay for eye exams for the needy here in Cheatham County. You can just text me over if you'd like to purchase one, and we'll get it in the race for you, and hopefully you'll be the grand champion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just like to invite any commissioners like to come and help us with One Gen Away. That's on the last Saturday of August, here at Ashland City Elementary STEM Academy there. And it was really great. The last one gave out a lot of food to needy families. So anyone love to come and help, be there around 7:30 Saturday morning, August 29th, before the Turtle Derby. And we really appreciate anyone to come out and help.
Anyone else? Mr. Hudspeth? Are you waving or you want to speak?
Yeah, no, I need to speak. Commissioner Binkley, does the Lions Club still take donations for eyeglasses?
We do.
Where do I drop those?
You got them out there. I can stop by and pick them up. Just call me.
Okay, that'll work. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Mr. Mayor, would you please send us a reminder about the swearing-in ceremony?
Absolutely. We'll get that out in the morning. We'll make a reminder for everybody.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else for the mayor, the budget director, Mr. Hester, or anybody else? Have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Weekly, second, Mr. Weekly. All those in favor of adjournment, do so by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The ayes have that. We are officially adjourned.